Has guiding or being in nature, what has that taught you about business, about leadership, about anything like that? Where do you see the overlaps? Where does being in nature, besides just resetting you and refilling you, what type of lessons kind of carry over?
I see it most clearly on rivers. And, my big activities, my big three are skiing. I'm skiing like 75 plus days a year. And then mountain biking. So 50 to 100 days, kind of depending on the range. And then it's river time. And some of those are big, long days on the river. And I'm probably getting 25 to 30 of those in each summer. And among all three of those, I feel this flow, but across all of them. But there's something that's even clearer about that analogy for me on rivers, and this moment of preparing, of knowing and understanding the challenge ahead, and getting all of that gear and all of my knowledge and my primed mind state, trying to get into a calm place where I can be a good and safe and efficient leader on the river, and getting all of the people trained to what they need to know to stay safe, and then all the gear on the boat. And then there's this moment that is an absolute instant where we push off the shore. And the second we push off, we're in the current. These are all pretty fast moving rivers. And some of them, there's real current at the put in. So you are 1 foot offshore, you're going 8 miles an hour downstream. And a fully loaded 14-foot oar rig raft with coolers and dry boxes and 7 people on it is 2,000 pounds plus. And so you've got 8 miles an hour momentum and a 2,000-pound object, and there is no going back upstream. Like, physically impossible. You put a huge outboard motor on there and you couldn't push that thing back upstream. And so you now make the best choices you can with the position you're in. And every instant you're going to be further downriver than you were at the previous moment. So you're constantly moving. And all I can really do with the oars is move the boat left or right, or turn it a little bit. Maybe it's like a little bit like a hot air balloon. Like, there's not a lot of control over, like, I suddenly want to be on the right side of the river. I can't just get over there in 2 seconds. It might take me a minute and a half to get to the right side of the river when I realize I'm on the left side of the river. So there's so much surrendering that happens. And I think for me, the river makes it obvious that a great deal of effort is often unnecessary, because the river often makes a great deal of effort not effective or usable at all. Like, I could put my entire strength into rowing that raft upstream and I would still be going downstream. Completely futile. And so it's taught me to look for opportunities in the business world where I can just be in the current, and to recognize opportunities in the business world where no matter how hard I row, something else is going to be the deciding factor. And if I can figure out how to align with that instead of resist it, I think there's a lot of power there.
This podcast is brought to you by BeMicro, a company I'm deeply passionate about because I founded it in 2018. It's USDA organic freeze-dried microgreens for everyday nutrition and detox. Sprinkle them on any meal or take them as a capsule to enjoy the many healthy benefits. Shop now at BeMicro.farm. Use code STEVE15 to save. Have you ever been more of like the motorboat, where you're like, I'm just pouring gas and fuel and I'm going to go any direction I want really, really quickly? Have you been that? I mean,
Yeah. I'd say in my most successful business, hundreds of employees, we got to about $50 million in annual revenue at one point. We raised $65 million from investors in kind of increasing chunks over the years leading up to that. We had a big engine because of all that capital and all that power and that huge team. And I would say 70% of the time when we used that engine to go somewhere, we realized we didn't want to be there in the first place. It would have been a lot easier to have done something else. But when you have a big engine on the back of your boat, you fire that sucker up and you try to go somewhere just to say you've done it.
Yeah,
you
right.
burn a lot of gas.
Yeah.
And you sit there and, pound your chest and, we did it. And then you get to the other side of the river and you're like, the left side actually looked better. Fire it back up. Let's go back over there. Right. And you might have been better off to just make the decision. Let's just stay river left and see how it goes.
How are you identifying these opportunities to just be in the river, just to be in the flow? To someone who's looking for a first-time opportunity?
Yeah. For me, it's testing. And I think the amazing thing that's happened in the last 2 years is that in the digital marketing world, in the software world, in the content world, AI tools are making it so much faster for us to take ideas into something that's testable, like a testable prototype, and get real feedback on it. Like this summer, I was taking a shower one morning. I get up, I have this idea, great shower idea, like I often get. And here I am thinking like, man, it would be cool to figure out if this thing is like even real. Like how would users interact with this? It was an idea for a piece of software I wanted to build for when I was giving keynotes to let the audience respond in real time. And it was a very kind of nerdy, specific thing I needed them to respond on a scale from like 0 to 100. And then I wanted this visualization to like update in real time. And I thought, gosh, that'd be cool to just poll an audience instantly, scan a QR code, they move a slider, and then boom, this visualization shows us what you think and what you think and what we think on average and who the outliers are. And this like cool visualization for some of these questions I ask in my keynote. And I got out of the shower, I had a cup of coffee, I had breakfast, and I sat down at my laptop. And I fired up Cursor and Claude Sonnet, and I explained what I wanted to build. And within 30 minutes, it was built. And an hour later, I had it in front of people getting their feedback before noon that day. And so I think that's always been the value to me is like just test it, because if people don't get it or there's a ton of resistance, or if it's a great idea, but somehow I just can't communicate it to somebody else, then it's not a great opportunity, or I need to figure out a different way to communicate it. And so I'm always trying to close that loop by testing things. And now, like, I would never have tested that idea before because it wasn't good enough for me to want to invest a month and a half of time and $15,000 to pay a team to maybe build it, or for me to build it myself, probably 25 to 30 hours of time coding it. And now I had a working prototype of the thing in a half hour. And so now I'm able to test more things than I've ever been able to test before. And so I think that's the big opportunity for everybody else now is figure out what the tools are, whether they're AI or not, that can take ideas that are in your head and put it into something practical enough that you can put it in front of your target audience, or even just a friend or a spouse or your kids. It depends on who the audience is, but who can you get this thing in front of quickly? And I mean, I show prototypes to my 12-year-old a lot now, and just like, hey, does this make sense? What do you see? And he's like, what is that? I'm like, it's a slider. And he's like, oh, I didn't realize you could slide that. And I'm like, all right, got to go back to the drawing board on the visual. Like, if everybody can't figure out that's a slider you're supposed to move, then I'm going to lose people there. So I think that's the superpower right now is, my testing methodology is my methodology for looking at any idea is, can I test it and what's the feedback on it? And then now the time to do that has just gone from thousands of dollars in weeks to months to $4 in AI credits in 30 minutes. And so that means that the next class of builders out there are 100 times more powerful than I was building my most successful company 15 years ago.